So here we have Lockheed Martin. Check out this move from up over 500 bucks into April of this year. Following an earnings report, things just went south, peeling off 20%, getting down under that $400 level, and then we had the uprising in the Middle East, and then that caused a big jump to Lockheed Martin shares. Real interesting to see because day one following the news in the Middle East, we get right to that 50-day moving average. I mean, just spot on that first day. And then that 433 was that level. And if you look at the range of that day, got up to 436.60. The low was 423.39. Ended up closing 436.53. So above that 50-day moving average. And now look at how many times that has come into play over the last several days. That next day it provided a little bit of a floor, another floor. This we got a wick that came down. So intraday on last Thursday, market under pressure. This thing got to 430.11. That was below that 50-day. And inevitably what happened? The bid came back in. So several days now of bids, several days of that 50-day holding up. Now that 50-day provided plenty of resistance for the stock on the way down. Anything that does it in one direction typically does it in the other direction. So if it was resistance along the way down, could it be support on the way up? I believe so. Overhead, you're going to have things like the 200-day moving average, which right now is at 457. So a little bit of a move away. So this is one of the things that you can use to be a little bit more defensive, I think, in your portfolio. Should this conflict extend, get longer, the U.S. get more involved, it's definitely a hedge sort of against that, which is decent when you're talking to the grand scheme of the market because the market may not like it so much overall. Also notice how this gap, and I guess I'm kind of covering up the gap there a little bit. So look at this gap that took place from September 5th to the 6th. So you went from a low of 445.05 the next day on heavy volume 441.34. So keep an eye on that 445 level. That could be a potential reversal point should the market get up there. We got really close even earlier today. Here we are on Monday, October 16th. The stock getting up to 443.50. So this is an area I would keep an eye on. If it gets past there, if it fills that gap, because that's really what a lot of people expect these gaps to get filled. If it fills that gap, does it have the power to extend on through that? So similarly to how this move through the 50-day had a big volume spike, what you're going to want to see if we can get into that gap or past that gap is volume coming in to support a move higher above that gap. So far today, at the last several days, we can see the volume has kind of been coming on down for shares of Lockheed Martin from an overbought, oversold perspective using the RSI. Not too bad. Okay. If you're up over 70, that's really when you're overbought. We haven't quite got there. So no sign of a reversal there yet. But look at how you did have the oversold condition here that ultimately, we got a big spike up. But all these interesting tidbits of this chart, the 50-day to 200-day moving into play, filling that gap, and the stock being so far off of the highs, those are all reasons why I have this one as my chart of the day.